This is an uncensored podcast about sex, sexuality, gender, and body stuff. Listener discretion is advised. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the person or persons sharing them. Some names have been changed to protect the anonymity of its participants. Hello, my friends. It's me, Drew Michael, and I'm coming to you live from the podloft that it all began in South Carolina. What? What the fuck? What are you talking about? Oh my god, I'm staring out the window at a big bird of prey. I don't know if it's a hawk or an eagle, but I'm like, damn, bitch. What? Oh my god, is that another one? Is there just a tree full of birds of prey? They're just waiting for me to go lay out by the pool so they can strike. When I first moved here years ago, I was laying in my pool, like on a floaty, and there were a bunch of, oh my god, there's three. Where are they coming from? Are they like coming out of the shadows? I love that. That makes me like them so much more. Um, I was just like floating in the pool and there were like these buzzards that were like circling above, and I was like, "Oh my god, I think they think I'm a dead white fat cow like floating in a pool, and they're just like gonna like sweep down and sweep it up. Swip, swip, sure. So what am I doing here? You might ask. Well, I'm visiting for Christmas. I arrived with 15 minutes left on Christmas Day at 11:45. I flew into Myrtle Beach Airport and I am now in my old room. I am feeling really warm right now, even though it's actually kind of cold outside. Um, I, yeah, it feels really weird to be here. I've been gone for about a month and a half in Detroit, and I've really moved on. I mean, I really changed my brain. My brain has become acclimated to a different place, and it just feels really weird to be here. And as usual, I'm overthinking things because I fucking love to do that because it makes me miserable. So how are you guys? How was your Christmas yesterday? Um, I love that this year our Thanksgiving episode landed on Thanksgiving, considering I could give a shit about Thanksgiving. And I love that our Christmas episode is a day late because I'm so sorry. I had some breakfast casserole and it seems to be affecting me. What? Oh my god. What classic podcasting thing will I do next? What are you guys up to? Are you being lazy? Actually, look, I'm looking forward to like being kind of lazy. It's like I only have 4 days here and I kind of have to spend a good amount of time like with my family, but and some friends, but I also just like I'm hoping today to be just like a little bit lazy. Um, Sometimes you just have to say, "Oh, I'm gonna go take a shower," and then you take a shower for 20 minutes, and then you lay in bed and stare out the window at birds and record an episode of your podcast that you're going to release in literally minutes after you record it, because that's how professional we are here at Make Sex With Me podcast. This is Make Sex With Me podcast, a podcast where um, it's appropriate that we're watching birds because we're going to make an episode about gay animals today. I kind of went into that a little faster than I normally would. Please rate, review, subscribe, give us 5 stars on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. And please, if you would, email us at makesexwithmepodcast@gmail.com. And who the fuck is texting me? I think I'm getting work emails because I'm important. Ooh, wait, what's this? Oh, sorry. Some daddy from long ago messaged me on Twitter. I think Gen Z JB. Gen Z JB. I'm going to say, what time do you, or wait, do you want to, we're making ham. Um, do you want ham? I know he's Jewish, but he's like Jewish, you know? So there's that. um, yeah. So this is going to be a kind of a quickie-sode today. And I just wanted to let you guys know we are taking a break. So I kind of need it. I think January is going to fucking punch me in the nuts with work. So most podcasts do take a break over the course of winter. They take like a month off, and we are going to take a month off. So this is going to be our last episode of season 5. And when we come back, we're going to come back with Sexy 69, season 6. So that's exciting. And we've got some good shit. I actually have some really good shit recorded that I haven't even released yet. And I think it's going to be wonderful to release it in season 6. Oh my God, we have a special guest. Well, hello, Tulsi. Hi. You snuck in, didn't you? You are making an appearance on the podcast, Tulsi? Oh, you love to do that. You love it. Let's close this door. Hi, baby. Tulsi's so happy that I'm back. You lay next to me when I record. Good girl. Okay. So you guys, last episode I um I was talking about a podcast that I found. And I remember trying to figure out the name of it. I was like, I think it's like about animals, and I think it's about like animals doing like gay shit. And it's about like gay animals or something. It's literally called Gay Animals. And I did find that out, and I did release that on that episode. So, it wasn't a complete loss, but I went and listened to episode 1 of Gay Animals, and it's such a good podcast. Um, and episode 1 is an introduction to the season, which is about gay animals, but also it's about the research behind gay animals. And this man whose name is, I'm going to tell you, I actually have it written down. What did JB say? He keeps interrupting. He's such a dick. I could go ham on some slop. Okay. Come over in an hour. Whatever. Oh, what's this guy's name? Let's click. Let's click over here. So the book is called Biological Exuberance, and the man's name is Bruce Bagamihl. That's Bagemihl. And he is a gay researcher, was a gay researcher / possibly scientist. And he just did endless research about gay animals and found so much information that has kind of just not been released to the world. It's just been completely been hidden or erased even, or, just like, well, we'll get into that a little bit. But anyway, in the 90s, he wrote this book, released it in literally 1999, and then he like vanished. And so the creators of the Gay Animal podcast, um, they're gonna search for him in season one, apparently. They need to find out what happened to him because the book Biological Exuberance is for a lot of queer people, like just a beautiful, almost like biblical text. It's just like literally like, wait a minute, queerness is everywhere in nature, yet we're made to feel bad about ourselves as queer humans when we're literally animals too. So, yeah, it's awesome. So I got information from the Gay Animals podcast for this episode. I got information that they got from Biological Exuberance, and also Wikipedia, the page for Jonathan, the Seychelles giant tortoise on Wikipedia. We're going to talk about Jonathan today. Um, Please, you guys, if you are willing or if you're able, make a donation to Wikipedia. They're doing their annual campaign and they're falling behind. I think so many of us use Wikipedia for information, and it's a wonderful source for information, and it's like peer reviewed stuff. Um, and Unfortunately, nobody wants to pay. They just want to use it and they don't want to pay to help support it. So I'm going to make a donation and I hope you guys do too. I think they're asking for like donations of like $2 and like 75 cents or something. So if you can make that donation to help Wikipedia stay available to everyone in the world who needs it, um, then that would be great. Thanks so much. All right, so let's talk about Jonathan. So, Jonathan is a Seychelles giant tortoise. Seychelles giant tortoises um, originated in Seychelles, the Seychelles Islands, I think they're called, off the coast of. I think that's in like the Indian Ocean, off the coast of Africa. The what it would be like the east coast of Africa. Um, I think that's where the Seychelles are. Uh, and I think you say the Seychelles. I'm not sure. But anyway, he was born in the Seychelles in 1832. That's the year 1832. He hatched in Seychelles. And he is the oldest known living land animal. He's still alive today. He's nearly 200 years old. I believe it was 192 years old in this year, 2024. Um, that's insane. There's literally a picture of him that was taken in, where did I write this down? Where did I write this shit down? Um, Shit, I didn't want to have to do any edits on this episode. Um, I'll just get to it when I get to it. He was moved to St. Helena, which is a British overseas territory in the South Atlantic Ocean. He was a gift to like the governor at the time of St. Helena, and he's lived there. He went there with three other giant tortoises. I don't know what happened to those other tortoises. I only know that he's the oldest one, so maybe they died. I don't know. Um, but he was transported to St. Helena in 1882 when he was 50 years old. And that's where they gave him the name Jonathan, the governor at the time, whose name I didn't write down because he's probably just some old white dude. He gave him the name Jonathan. Um, and I also wrote down that in 1882, when he was 50 years old, Charles Darwin hadn't even written his like origins book or whatever. He hadn't even like thought of the theory of evolution Like this was pre all of that. So this is insane. Um, the Seychelles giant tortoise was thought to be an extinct species, and in fact, there's like very, very few in alive in the world. I think they're all in captivity. Basically, they're super, super lazy animals. They just eat, they stretch, they sunbathe, they graze, they nap, they play with other tortoises and other animals, and they burrow. They like dig themselves a hole in grass or leaves or whatever, to like just sleep. And they sleep a lot and they sometimes roam. Apparently, Jonathan likes lots of fruits and vegetables, such as pears, something that's called a windfall, bananas, cucumbers. He loves lettuce hearts, cabbages, plums, loquats, and guavas. He has like a very rich diet of fruits and vegetables. And he goes to bed every day at about 4 or 5 p.m. So he's just like just a silly little slow moving, like inactive tortoise. He's adorable. One of the people who's like kind of researched him and taken care of him is a vet by the name of Joe Hollins. And he is actually interviewed on the Gay Animals podcast, and he's a delightful human. And he says really, really awesome things about gay animals and bisexuality and gayness and queerness in all the animal kingdoms. Um, oh, this is what I was going to say before. In 1886, Jonathan had his photo taken for the first time, and he's has his photo taken with another tortoise whose name I don't know, and there are like 3 or 4 men in the picture, and it's like a black and white picture. It was taken before the 1900 1900s began, right? It's like the oldest fucking thing ever. And I was just like blown away like by looking at this picture because like in this picture is Jonathan, who's alive and well, and there's these men who all died like a long time ago. Like in the picture, the men who are all like middle aged, like in 1886, they might have died before 1900 even. Like I don't even know what life expectancy was then. It's like insane that there's this tortoise that's still alive and they are all dead. Like there's been so many generations of people that have taken care of Jonathan and they all died and he's still alive. He's just like, "Hey, what's up?" And like Joe Hollins, the vet, he's even like, "I hope that Jonathan outlives me." And he's like, "I'm going to be really upset if I outlive him." It's just like everyone loves this tortoise. He's so cute. Um he probably weighs about 200 kilos. And I didn't do the math, but like, let me see. How much is 200 kilos in pounds?
200 kilograms is 440.92 pounds.
440.92 pounds. That's like insane. That's like what I weigh. I'm just kidding. But am I? Okay, that's like twice my weight, maybe. I don't want to talk about it. All right. Um, Oh, I wrote this down. I said, it should be said that, like people, animals were not really allowed to be gay for most of the history of the 19th and 20th centuries, especially. The animals were gay and they were gay acting, but the research that was being done on them was buried and hidden, even coded so that no one would find it. So, um, Bruce Bagamel and other people who are doing the research nowadays have discovered all of these different researchers that were researching animals and came across gay animals or animals doing homosexual things. And I think it's also important to say that, like, it's kind of reductive just to say gay animals because, like, animals I don't think we understand animal sexuality enough. I don't think that it's just like gay or straight with animals, much like it's not gay or straight with humans. I think that there's like people who do homosexual things, but there's like people who would call themselves fully homosexual, and there's people who call themselves bisexual. Like there's all these different variations. Animals don't call themselves anything, nor do they seem to mind that one of them is this way and the other one's that way. They just kind of do whatever, a butt's a butt, let's sniff it. Um, and I think it's reductive to just say that they're gay. I think like there's a lot going on that we need to like figure out. Um but basically throughout history, especially like in the 1800s and the mid to early 1900s, or early to mid 1900s, and even like into the 1960s, researchers were finding out that animals were doing gay shit, and they were like very disturbed by it, and they definitely acted on their biases. Like they were like they believed that homosexuality was wrong and sinful, and so despite the scientific findings, despite the fact that they were scientists and researchers, they allowed their feelings about morality to cloud their research, which is absolutely unprofessional, I would say, for a scientist to do. Like I have a hard time with people who are like super super Christian doing research on things that are like having to do with just like literal facts and science when they believe some shit that's like basically out of a kid's storybook, like it's just like okay, moving on. So there was actually a scientist whose name I also didn't write down because fuck that guy, who like was so upset by his findings about a gay species of animal, or a species acting in a gay way, that he coded his work. He wrote his work in a way that only he could understand the findings, and it was later it was decoded later. I almost said uncoded, decoded later, and they discovered that he was hiding research he had done about gay animals. It's like insane. They just did not want the world to know that gayness is a part of nature. And in this podcast, I believe that they are going to kind of shine a light on the fact that not only does queerness, gayness, whatever happen in nature, but it's absolutely an integral part of nature. Like it's there for a reason. And maybe we don't know what the reason is, but we can find it. We can find the reason why gay people exist in nature and gay animals exist in nature. I'm very excited. So let's talk more about Jonathan's love life. So, um, Jonathan, let's see, he was in his hundreds. He was like 100 years old in the 1930s. So that's fucking insane. Um, 1969, he was about 130 years old. He was starting to act like a bad boy, apparently. He was escaping a lot from his enclosures. He was disrupting croquet games. Like people would be playing croquet and he would just like walk over and just like sit on the ball. Um, and he was just kind of like fighting for attention. Like he just really wanted people to pay attention to him. He wanted other animals to pay attention to him. And at the time, the governor of St. Helena um requested that there be more um Seychelles giant tortoises delivered to be with him, basically, because I guess he was like the only one at the time. And so 2 1-year-old tortoises, Emma and David, were sent to live with him. Um, Emma apparently stuck around for a while because he actually had some relations with Emma, but it wasn't like his favorite. He just like fucked her a few times and it was like, bye, Emma, thanks. I don't know what happened to David. But there was also at some point in time another uh tortoise named Frederica. And he really, really liked having relations with Frederica. And he used to mount Frederica, and they had tortoise sex, which Joe Hollins does an impression of tortoise sex on the podcast, and they also, I think, play a recording of them. It's like very hissy and very like weird. But that's how they do it. Um, anyway, they Joe was like observing them being together because they kind of became like a couple. They became mates. And he started to realize somehow, I don't know how they didn't realize it sooner, but he realized that Frederica was not a female. Frederica was Fred, or Frederick, I think they call him. So what they realized was that at like 100 and let's see, in 1969 he was 130. It was like around 1991. So he would have been like 100 and I'm trying to do math. That's 70, 80, 90, like 100 and like 52 or something. He That doesn't sound right, but maybe he basically they realized he was gay. They realized he wanted a partner. He loved Frederick more than Emma, more than any other tortoise ever. And apparently there was never any, like, no one observed Jonathan having sex with David. Like, Jonathan didn't have sex with anyone else, like, in his young days, apparently. Like, that I didn't hear anything about any of those things. So it's almost like he kind of got his stride later on in life. And actually, what's interesting is that Joe actually had to save Jonathan's life at one point. So Seychelles giant tortoises are what's called quasi-immortal animals. So they don't live forever, but they almost kind of live forever. They quasi, I guess, means like kind of or sort of. They sort of live forever. And the way that Joe Hollins described it was that they just continue to live until they kind of wear themselves out. Like, if I guess probably if they just don't have the will to live anymore, they just kind of say like, ugh, okay, well, I'm done. And at some point, and I think it was around like the mid 80s, late 80s, 90s, Jonathan was looking just kind of like really thin, and apparently like the beak, which is like this like hard cartilage or whatever, it was crumbling. It was like not a solid beak anymore. It was just looking really bad. And Joe Hollins decided that he was going to start like basically hand feeding Jonathan like fruits and vegetables. And within a matter of months, he, filled out, his beak got more fulfilled, he was stronger, and he was just acting a lot younger. And he also got his libido back. Now, they said he got his libido back, so I'm wondering if he had somewhat of a libido before. And they did say that he had had some relations with Emma, but my guess is that he was introduced to Fred like maybe after this happened. I'm not sure. They didn't, I couldn't tell like how that happened, like what happened first. But it just, the whole story feels like just it in the last chapter of Jonathan's life, he's really just started to be himself. And I just love that idea that like you could be any age and just start doing something you've always wanted to do. Like, so many people that lived in earlier times in the 20th century and the 19th century, they weren't allowed to be gay. They weren't allowed to like have lovers openly. They weren't allowed to like get married. They weren't allowed to like have families and, with the ones they loved. They really weren't allowed to exist as themselves. And because of that, some of the older generations maybe didn't never found themselves until they got older. Like people that are still alive today but older, maybe they just kind of found themselves. Like we hear stories of that. Like somebody was married to like a man was married to like a woman and had kids and he was with that woman and then, they were married for like 40 years and then suddenly his wife like dies of cancer or something and then all of a sudden he's going to gay bars and he has to tell his kids eventually like, hey, like I'm gay, or like that happens a lot with people who are trans. They weren't able to be themselves for years and years and years because they had to, fulfill that kind of nuclear family fantasy that the world puts on people. And then when they felt like they couldn't tolerate not being themselves one more second, they came out. um I just think like it's never too late to do something you want to do. It's never too late to be yourself. If you haven't been yourself up until now, it's never too late and there's always support and the universe always has you. Um and they said something so cute on the podcast. They said that um Fred and Jonathan kind of had like a honeymoon phase throughout the entire decade of the 90s. Like how fucking cute is that? Um and they're like still together. They literally do everything together. They sleep together, they play together, they graze together, they eat together, they have sex. They're just like in love and it's so cute. Um but I'm pretty sure that Fred is a lot younger than Jonathan. So no one's like talking about Fred as much cuz Jonathan's the one that's almost 200 years old. So, yeah. That's so cute too. He's got a young little piece. I love it. Also, I wrote down that Jonathan is a total top. I don't think Jonathan bottoms. So funny. Anyway, Jonathan has basically lived through like multiple wars, two different pandemics. Um, he what's bigger, a pandemic or an epidemic? I can't remember. Oh my god, my computer just went to sleep. What the fuck? He's seen generations and generations of humans. He's, lived through the advancements in science and technology. He's seen like whole monarchies just like crumble. Um and he's still alive. Like he's just none of that shit matters to him. All this like human shit is just like, whatever. All I want is some guavas, some windfalls, a grassy bushel to crawl into, like I just want to like sunbathe and then go get in the shade and just like hump my young peace boyfriend that I'm in love with. Um and it says in his Wikipedia that he spends his days doing everything with his mate. Fred, isn't that so cute? I just like love it. Ugh. Anyway, guys, you should go listen to this podcast. It's so good. Um, I'm going to listen to every single episode. I'm so excited. It's also really, really funny. They referred to the animal kingdom as the animal queendom. I was like, shut up. It's really, really funny. And really, really creative. And like the first part of episode 1, they're at the Ramble in Central Park, which is like notoriously a place where you go to see birds, but also like in gay culture, it's notoriously a place where you go to hook up with men. Although I never did that when I lived in New York. Um, but they like use a lot of like double entendre and it's like so funny. It makes me want to go hook up with men in the woods. That sounds safe, right? Cool. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. 5 stars, 5 stars. Email us at makesexwithmepodcast@gmail.com. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful next month, just chilling out. I might release some foreplay episodes where we, replay some old classics. That might happen. We'll see. That involves a little bit of production work on my on my part, but I might release 1 or 2 of those just to keep you guys happy. You guys are so hard to please. And I hope you're filling your holes with Project 2025. Nope, just kidding. I hope you fill your holes with something that's much better for your holes than Project 2025. If you want to expel everything that you no longer need out of your holes and just let it out on top of Project 2025, that'd be hot. All right, bye.